Hello, it's Tracy Dix here from Wyrd Learning, and I am on day 22 of my conversion card challenge with James Wedmore's powerful language patterns that convert. So on today's card, I've got removing any objections, reverse it. Objections are the main reason people end up not taking a desired action, like purchasing your program or product. So it's critical to be able to overcome them to successfully make the sale. Formula. You may think that what they may think. Well, that's a good thing because blank. Example in action. You may think that video is time consuming, but that's a good thing because most businesses, including your competitors, won't take the time to do it, so you'll be the one that stands out. So I think as far as objections go regarding academic writing, we can discuss this from two perspectives. So one can be from the student perspective when you're looking at studies and research articles as part of your research for an assignment. Your objections could be regarding the limitations of a specific argument. So try to define the limitations of studies that you have looked at as specifically as possible, so that you can highlight what your objections are to that in effect. Except that you wouldn't really phrase them as objections, you would call them limitations of the study, because that is a more objective way of writing it, in the sense that it's not about your opinion necessarily, but this is how things are, almost as if it's a fact. That's how you want to position it in academic writing. The other perspective I wanted to touch on today is in terms of your marker's objections to specific arguments in your work. So when I see students in consultations, very often they'll say to me like, oh, is this statement okay, or do I need to change it? The answer to that is, well, it depends, because it really depends on how you frame your argument in the rest of your essay. And it's very difficult to make a judgment on that, especially for someone else to make a judgment on your work in that way without seeing how one part of the argument sits within the kind of broader scope of everything else. And ultimately, that is a decision that needs to be made by you as the writer. So the most common objections that markers would have when reading someone's essay or assignment would be that certain arguments haven't been developed well enough, that parts of the argument are a little bit vague and its meaning unclear. Another common comment is that a statement has been made that is too generalized. And what I find with introductions is most commonly students mistake an introduction as something that they use to introduce the background of the topic that the essay should be about. Instead, an introduction should be introducing the scope of your argument. So what is your response? What perspective have you taken to this? And, define where is everything going to be in your argument, so that as the marker reads, they have a very clear picture of what's to come and when. And so you don't leave them hanging with that sense of, oh, this hasn't been developed well enough yet. But it's okay, because in your signpost, you'll then say, I will elaborate on this more in section 4, or wherever you plan to elaborate on it. So it's about giving your marker that reassurance, so they're guided through your work at every step of the way, and you don't make a point, but because you believe that an introduction is supposed to be summarizing your points, you don't go into it in very much detail, and you end up leaving them hanging. So don't leave them with open questions as they're reading your essay. Like, give them the assurance that you know what you're doing, you've planned the structure of your argument, and this is where you're taking it. Okay, I hope that's helpful, and join me again for tomorrow, day 23. Bye!